So one thing I want to do is I don't like the two-tone door. I'd love it if it was all kind of the same wood color. It would kind of simplify the door a little bit. So I'm going to select our door. I'm going to go up and desaturate. So we kind of have our door here. Let me go ahead and desaturate this little element. Since we're done with the cloning layers and all of that, I'm going to go ahead and merge these layers together. So I have this little cloning tool we did earlier. I'm going to select that and our door and merge them together. I'm going to press Command E and I'm going to merge them, or you can right click and merge your layers that way. But I'm going to go ahead and do Command E. It's going to combine the layers together, and now I have one layer. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and make some color adjustments. I'm just going to go to color balance and see if I can't bring out a nice wood color by playing around with some of these options. Switch into highlights. I go kind of down, I go shadows, midtones, and highlights, and make sure I kind of work with all of them. Just kind of getting a wood, dark mahogany color. So now that I kind of have a color I like, I can mess around with vibrance or hue and saturation and play around a little bit more with that. I could do photo filter. I can add a little bit of a specific color. That adds a little bit of orange, which is really lovely. So just adding a little hint of orange. Just messing around with my adjustments. There's no science to this, just kind of going through all these to see if I can't find something that helps push this in the right direction. Exposure is always a great one for more dramatic effects. Just a little dab will do you with exposure. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the grass. The grass, kind of the door, has this nice soft look to it, so we want to kind of soften the grass too. So here's our grass layer. Let's go ahead and do the same things with adjustments. Let's go to hue and saturation. We could even change the grass color. It could be kind of an fall time, or it could be any kind of color. We can make it an alien world if we wanted to and make it blue. I'm just in hue and saturation right now. So it kind of depends on what kind of look we want to go for. We want to go for surreal. That's kind of really cool looking, isn't it? But I think I want to stay with green, but maybe add a little bit more of a autumn season to it. Any way to kind of soften that green. That green was a little too bright. I'm just going to reduce the lightness a tad. So you can kind of see what we did. Let me kind of do Command Z, go back. So that's what we had before. It was almost a golf course green. And let's redo hue and saturation, and now it kind of brings it down more to your backyard grass green. So a little bit more realistic. I did notice over in the grass we have this kind of sprinkler system or something over here. I'm just going to grab, I could do the healing brush tool, or I can do the clone tool. Let's see if the spot healing brush tool will do good here. Just kind of painting over it. Don't want it to look like there's any sprinkler systems in this magical world this girl is in, or getting ready to go into. And so now let's do our sky. So we're going to do our sky right now. So we can go to vibrance, hue and saturation, and kind of mess with what we want. Right now it's purple. That's what it was originally. We can make it even more purple. At this point we can make it black and white. Make it really vibrant. So I'm going to reduce the lightness. I don't want it to be so bright that it overpowers the door. So hue, this is where I'm kind of wondering what would look best. This is going to be up to you. You may want to do a totally different color that I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit more purple to it, a little bit more red to it. Let's see what else we can do. And remember, if you have a newer version of Photoshop, you could just go to the adjustment panels instead of having to go up here and call out this stuff and do shortcuts. You could just do everything from this panel. If you have an older version of Photoshop, this is not going to be an option for you. Okay, let me try one more thing. And I'm just doing this because I'm stubborn. Vibrance, color balance. We could do a photo filter and add a little bit more of a warm tone to it like we did the door. So I'm going to add a new layer, and this is going to be like a darkening effect just on the edges. So I'm going to grab the simple black paintbrush tool, and I have a pretty large brush, so almost 2,000 pixels, and I'm just going to just barely scrape the sides just to add a little bit of dark lighting. I guess in this case shadows, just a little bit, just like that. So you can see what that did. I'd have this as a separate layer if I ever wanted to just remove it. So that's before and that's after. I can just back it off a little notch. This adds a little bit more dynamic lighting. Go ahead and take our grass photo and just bring out a little bit of brightness in that. Okay, and there's one little cool thing we can do. I'm not going to necessarily leave it this way, but let's see how it looks. I'm going to add a layer right below the darkening effect, so it's going to be almost on the top. And this is going to be lighting. And we're going to add a colorful lighting in the sky, so if we want to make the sky kind of change from one color to another, we can make a more dynamic sky this way. So I'm just going to paint, and this is a new layer, and I'm going to do overlay. And we're just going to do an overlay painting. And we're going to grab, we could grab any color. Let me just try a red. Let's click once. And maybe we can reduce the opacity a little bit. Let's click once. And then we can go and we can grab a blue, a sky blue over here. You can see how the sky can be different colors. They can collide, whatever you desire. So you can create some pretty cool sky effects that way. All sorts of things you can do when you do an overlay brush. So if I don't like it, I can toggle it off at any time or reduce the opacity and not have it be as strong. So I think I'm going to keep that. And so there's only one more thing left to do. We can say, hey, we're done. I think we're done. This is great. Or we could do one more thing, and that's mess around with duotones to get equal lighting and color throughout. So this is one option. We could say we're finished, we're good to go. And this is if you want to add further still some connection with all the different photography. So we're going to mess with duotones. So the first thing we need to do is we can set this to grayscale. So we definitely want to make a copy of our color version if we like it, because once we make changes, we can't go back when we do this duotone setting. So I went ahead and saved a copy of this, and I'm going to go to mode, and I'm going to say grayscale. And we can do merging or not merge, but I'm going to go ahead and merge because I'm ready, I'm done, I'm finished. This is a final editing touch. I'm going to go ahead and merge and then discard. It's going to go ahead and convert everything to black and white. So now we'll be able to add duotones or monotones as well. So I'm going to select our layer, and once we convert it to grayscale, you'll have some new options available. And that's going to be one here called duotone, which is normally grayed out. But now that we have a grayscale image, it'll allow us to add duotone colors. So as you can see, duotones, duo meaning two, it allows you to have two different color channels on and only show those two colors throughout the picture. So it's not going to have any white or black necessarily, but it'll achieve the white and black look by having these two colors, or honestly any colors that you desire. So the darker the color, the more shadows will come out. The lighter the color, the more bright and high contrast the duotone will be. And this is what's tricky, is finding what combinations of the two duotone colors work well together. So that's kind of like a navy and a kind of a strawberry light color. So we have to kind of really seriously consider what kind of shade we want to go for. We want to do blue, purple. The lighter you go, the more those highlights are going to pop out. And the darker you go, the more the rich tones will come out. So I'm going to play around with this for just a little bit to see if I can't find the kind of color I want, and then we'll be ready to show off our piece of artwork.